The DC to DC battery charger that is essentially hooked up to the alternator of the van and charges the house batteries, which run my entire operation basically, is no longer charging the batteries. It just randomly has stopped working. It shows that it's on, it shows that it has power, but for whatever reason it's not sending any charge back to the batteries. This was really the point in the ski season where I feel like I myself sort of started to run out of steam, for lack of better word. I had been skiing in Washington for a few days, hanging out in that area, and had planned to go up to British Columbia and to Whistler and Vancouver. And when I woke up on the morning that I was going to actually cross the border and go to another country with Luna, the van, I found that a vital part of my electrical system, the brains of everything in here, had stopped working. And unfortunately at the time, I was unable to diagnose, fix it. I had tried a multitude of things and kind of just had to fare with what I had, just sort of trust the solar and kind of go into a conservation mode. But it never really got me back to like fully functioning. And looking back, I should have been able to deal with that better and just sort of focus on what I did have and kind of what I can do to make the most of where I was at. But you know, instead I felt like I was sulking almost and just sort of hanging my head on the fact that something that I had built and created had failed to the degree that it kind of really prohibited what I was doing. This vital component that I'm referring to is my DC to DC battery charger. So I have two lithium ion batteries that power things like the lights, the refrigerator, everything in the actual living quarters of the van is running on two separate batteries that are not in really any way connected to the actual van battery. So these are obviously getting charged and discharged on a daily basis, primarily through the solar panel. But in the winter time, and especially with the amount of snow that we got this winter, the solar really doesn't do too much. So that's why I added something called a DC to DC battery charger, which is essentially connecting the alternator of the van to the batteries in the living section. So as I drive, the batteries get charged up. So it was great because I could really use a lot of my battery to make these videos, to run the internet, to charge my laptop, my computers. And then as I drive to the next ski location or whatever, my batteries would charge up to full very quickly and I never really had to worry about it. So when this piece failed and I was in Washington, which it was gray and rainy and snowy and everything like that, I was really put on the back foot because my batteries were already low at the time and I wasn't getting any solar to charge them. This right here is the unit itself. It sits behind the driver's seat on the side of the kitchen cabinet, and it's honestly a very simple wiring diagram, wiring assembly. Two wires are going to the starter battery. Two wires are essentially going sort of underneath the floor, up around the wall, into the van batteries. And then there's a small signal wire here, this little red guy, that's just hooked up to an accessory switch, so this isn't always on when the van is off, just so you're not draining your battery. But other than those four wires, essentially, it's very, very simple. From a diagnostic standpoint, I thought it'd be pretty easy to sort of eliminate where things are going wrong to see why this isn't working. When I was out on the road, I tried just about everything that I could. I'd even changed the unit itself. When I was in Alberta, Canada, and my dad came to visit me, he brought a brand new unit. I thought maybe something just in the unit failed, so let's put a new unit on to eliminate that. I checked the voltage output at both the input and output side. It was reading 14.4 volts. I checked the voltage at the house batteries, the voltage at the starter batteries, and everything was producing what it should. It was powering on, the connections were tight, and so that's why I was so bewildered as to what really could the problem be. I even went so far as checking the alternator on the van itself, thinking maybe the alternator is failing and it's just protecting itself by not sending charge back to where it doesn't necessarily need to. So I had really sort of exhausted my options that I thought, without completely taking apart my battery box, which I was just hesitant to do on the road. But obviously in retrospect, that probably would have been the smartest thing. Unfortunately, I just didn't really have a good read onto what would be causing everything to be working properly, but not sending any charge back to the batteries. So once I got back to Utah and the season sort of died down and the weather got nicer, stuff like that, I just, started to have a little bit more motivation to look into what's going on here. And this is where sort of the problem comes from. So I'm gonna take you guys, we're just gonna go through this a little bit more personal here. So in the side compartment is where all of my electrical lives. The problem with how I did this a little bit is that this is in a way a little bit inaccessible, because this panel here, granted it's just very thin plywood, is screwed in here with a bunch of different screws, but then there was a quarter round sort of floor trim piece that was on the side. You can see it here. So I had this quarter round here on this side to just obviously cover where the floor meets the cabinets, but I had to take all that off, unscrew all of this. So it was something I didn't really want to do on the road, but obviously in retrospect, I probably should have just bit the bullet and did it, because once I got under here, I was able to see the wiring of what was going on a bit easier than having to look only down this way. It's obviously very dark. It's kind of hard to see exactly what wire's going where. And I haven't been in here since like 2 years ago from when I originally ran these wires. So part of this was just me kind of forgetting what I actually did. So as I was trying to trace the wires to see if there was some sort of corrosion or one of the wires was slashed or something, I found this. I had honestly forgot that I fused the positive side of the charger into the battery to prevent any sort of, over voltage or anything bad to damage the actual battery. So once I took the cover off, I was able to see this fuse a lot more clearly. And long story short, very long story short, this fuse was blown. The 60 amp inline fuse that protects the batteries from getting an overcharge was blown. For whatever reason, a short circuit, maybe some moisture, I don't really know, but this was blown. This is a blown fuse. It is a little bit difficult to see, but you can see it is quite murky and brown here in the middle. Essentially, the continuation of the circuit has just completely split, so something forces to kind of blow up in a way, but it no longer had a complete circuit for the charge, where a brand new fuse, you can see the connection nice and clear. So, however, the problem was, because I really didn't have access to that compartment, it was hard for me to really see that little bit of murkiness from the top down. It's dark, it just kind of all blends in. So, and to be honest, I forgot that was even fused in the first place. So as a result, I picked up a pack of these fuses, and these are literally, $10 or something for these fuses. I hooked it up and the charger started working right away. So all of the issues came back to a blown fuse. It sounds very silly. I'm making this video to, one, just share the experience and share with you guys what actually happened with the batteries and things like that, but to also show my vulnerability, my humility, in a sense of like, I don't know what I'm doing. This has worked for a while, and it was just so much go that I really just didn't take the proper time to dig into something that I think could have been resolved on the road pretty easily had I just sort of taken this apart and really taken the time. But I had forgot that place was fused, and kind of is what it is. But you live and you learn, and now I have a pack of these, so I will keep them in the van if for whatever reason the circuit blows again. Fuse did its job. That's what it's supposed to do, right? So anyways, I hope you guys maybe learned something or just enjoyed a little story video of what happened. So at this point, Luna is getting pretty situated for the summer. I feel really good that this is fixed, and yeah, just excited to continue enjoying the mountains, continue enjoying Luna, and just getting her ready for a whole nother season of adventure, a whole nother ski season, and making Luna the best self-converted camper van we can. So anyways, love to hear you guys' thoughts. Don't laugh at me too much, but I understand if you do. So thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take it easy, fam. Peace out.